Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper, where today apparently we have a meeting with Hardin. Feng's been missing for a couple of days, and now here's this, so I'm more than a little bit concerned. I guess let's go see what he has to say. It's been more than a few cycles since Feng confronted Hardin, and the silence since has been noticeable. In your time with Feng, you haven't exactly found him to be reliable, but you did expect to hear the end of whatever plan he put into action. But if he won't come to you, you think as you approach the Havenage building, then it's time to come to him. After all, he did promise to fix your tracker, and it would be really cool if that could actually happen. As you approach the bay doors, you see them wide open and light pouring out of the once dark room. Stacks of servers and terminals sit outside the bay, suddenly robbed of their mystery by the bright floodlamps. A figure in Havenage security fatigue steps out of the bay as you get closer, carrying a stack of hardware. I mean, to be perfectly honest, we are being told this in a way that draws our attention to the figure in the security fatigues. I don't know that I would necessarily even consider that terribly significant if our attention wasn't being drawn to it specifically by it being pointed out in the text, because that's got to be a pretty common thing, right? Around here? My curiosity is going to get me killed. I am awfully curious, though, now that the game has told us to be. Yeah, let's approach. As you get closer, you see the security officer taping up machines from Feng's stash with what looks like hazard tape. This isn't good. You again. Hardin is there, leaning beside the bay entrance, so calmly that you barely noticed him. He has a slate in his hand, an inventory of seizures scrawled across it. Predictable. Further evidence of Feng's collusions. You see another security officer come out of the bay and take notice of you. Not a good runner. That's the thing we've learned about ourselves. Where is he? Feigning ignorance? Or perhaps just abandoned? Hardin shakes his head. I believe you should choose your conspirators more wisely. I almost feel sorry for you. You know, he's not wrong that I have basically immediately entered into a plan with almost every single person I've met. I could afford to maybe be a little bit more careful. Hardin pushes away from the wall and comes closer. Don't worry, Sleeper. We have all the evidence we need. A confession won't be necessary. He gestures around at the stacks of hardware. Spying on fellow Havenage members, hoarding Solheim materials, an obsession with corporate data. It speaks for itself, does it not? No, it does not. It tells you nothing. Well, we will see what the Council has to say about that. He looks up at the glass roof above and to the stars beyond. We are the ones that provide the oxygen you are breathing, the light you are seeing, the systems you use every day to live out your cycles. This place was hard fought for, Sleeper. It took work, diplomacy, and strength to stop the Eye descending into chaos after Solheim collapsed. Not blind conviction or self-interest. Yeah, I'm sure you're real low on the self-interest. Feng isn't selfish. None of this struck me as selfish. Perhaps a little bit short-sighted, but... Though I know all about the background of our mutual friend, Sleeper. Don't you worry about that. His parents would be sickened by the damage he is trying to do to the institution they helped found. You see, Sleeper, we are proud of our history here. Andre Erlin and the First Union founded this place, and Havenage has welded his values into the very walls of it. We will never turn away the hard-working, the just, the true citizens of the Eye. Havenage aren't a gang like Yatagan. We aren't pirates like half the spacers you'll meet in the hub, or esoterics like those Haifa radicals in the Greenway. We are the backbone of this place, proud and true. We named Erlin's Eye, Sleeper. This is our station. He meets your eye. So please, take your false accusations elsewhere, before I decide I need that confession after all. Why didn't you shithead? Well, this is not like a useful thing to say to him. Am I angry enough to call him a shithead? I just don't see the point. I'm just gonna stay silent. If you have any pride, you'll give up Feng the moment he contacts you. You know where to find me. With that, Hardin turns his back and walks back toward the security officers, ordering them to continue the clear-out. This is a bizarre thing to say. It's like, if you're easy to manipulate, you'll do what I say. Like, this is... The only effect this could possibly have is to make me not want to do this, right? What a strange... Huh. As they do, something catches your eye among one of the server stacks. A crumpled, hand-printed box of synthetic chewing gum. A penguin character grinning from the brightly colored card. And scrawled onto it, a speech bubble reading, "Take me to Tambor." And then I grabbed it, apparently. You carefully pocket the box, making sure no one is watching, and then turn away just as another stack of servers is wheeled out of the bay. What have you done, Feng? And where the hell is Tambor? Yeah, that's the reason I was a little unsure why we were taking this, because I don't know what the fuck that means. Well, Tambor's probably a person, yeah? That would be my guess. Alright. So yeah, there's nothing of value to do here unless we were going to engage, which we're absolutely not. New scrap freighters come in. If we bought 2 scrap and spent it on setting up a new place, we might get another advancement point, right? That might be enough of a conclusion of a drive. But I mean, with 5s and 6s, there's got to be more valuable stuff we can do. I guess let's pop over to the Greenway. And I think we need to explore the Greenway area a little bit more. So yeah, let's just throw some dice in here, right? Use the 5s first. How many upgrade points do I have right now? 2. Obviously, I want to be able to take self-repair unless we run into a situation where we desperately need to spend these on something else. But we could spend a point on the +1 to Intuit, and then... We're not that far off from wanting to repair again, because I don't want to get down to 2 dice. Like, 2 dice seems like bad news. And I don't know exactly at which point in any of our remaining drives we will get another upgrade point. I mean, we're probably pretty close to the end of the killer thing. I'm gonna go ahead and take it. And guarantee us the 6 on these. Because that will get us completion of going green, which hopefully will show us where to get the mushrooms we need for Emphas, and that might also be worth a drive point, actually. New drive discovered. Was there a new drive discovered? You know, just to grow mushrooms. So, while the mushrooms are dangerously inconsistent, spores provide a chance to gather or study these species in an untouched form. So we can pick up spores, or we could forage for fungus to gain condition. Huh. The fungus that grow in the deep groves of the Greenway are strange and typically avoided, but those with sharp eyes, like say a couple of 6s over here, might find sustenance. And over here, if we cut away the choking vines, stop the rot, this place could be turned back into a garden of sorts. And we could grow our own mushrooms here. A success on this is going to get us 3 points of sunlit refuge. We'd have to do that 4 times. That's a lot of dice, y'all. Oh, also we have this thing to worry about. Wait, no, it's not that node. It's, yeah, the margins. The margins is the one where we can look for what's-his-face. Well, I feel like we should probably focus here. And we're in a really good spot to track Ashton. I guess there is a question of whether or not it makes sense to spend one of these dice gaining condition, because if we do, then we'll still have 4 dice tomorrow. We'll be paying a die now to have an extra die tomorrow. Feels a little bit... I mean, like, what am I hoping to get on that die? It would be a 6, right? Like, the best case scenario of that plan is the scenario we're already in, so just spend the die. And then, you know, take a proper repair once we get closer to only having 2 dice. Because we're basically done with this now. We're close to being finished with a lot of different things. So I did not do anything to make money, really, but we still ended up with a little bit. And we can stop over here and have something to eat. I do so love the fungus. I'm really, really concerned about the fact that we are apparently not going to get our tracker disabled, because Ethan is out there somewhere. Aha! That is what we need to finish the, at least the current stage of the hunter thing. So let us go and prioritize that. Navigator, I am so sorry that I disappeared for 2 entire days. I cannot believe we had to disappear for 2 entire days. It's wild. Okay. Yeah, this is... No, this is the one we... Which one did we not unlock? Was it 3? It was 3. Okay. Whew. Access. Alright. Now what, though? Okay. So, we can slice the hardware. Forget hacking the system. Killer has to die. If you can slice the branch connections, the mainframe will just shut down. Or, with access to the branches, you could redirect them to form a loop, isolating the mainframe with Killer inside, but freeing Navigator. That seems worse, right? And it's only going to take us 2 dice to clear slice hardware. Obviously, they have to be pretty good dice, but this is a start. Isolate a clump of thick wires and run your torch through them all. The mainframe shudders. Take that, Killer. Quote-unquote killer. And then I guess we'll come back tomorrow. Sorry, buddy. Trust me, I am taking this seriously. So is there anything of interest we can do over here in the Greenway with a single one? So we could just do some crummy work to get some money. This is risky or dangerous. I certainly don't want to lose 2 energy. This is perfectly safe. We could just burn this to get a point on Sunlit Refuge. It feels pretty bad, though. Yeah, I guess working toward becoming part of this commune is maybe valuable. And a big part of what I'm thinking there is just that if we do, in fact, think that Tambor is a person, he or they could be over here, right? We don't really know. I guess let's just try to ingratiate ourselves. We'll get probably 1+, but that's fine. It's something. Okay. New drive discovered. Join the commune? Yeah, I mean, that would be neat to do. Okay. I really, really, really want to finish this killer thing. That would be super good. Is this... Okay, so we have a sense of how long it's going to take Ethan to pursue his vendetta. Gotta say, not too happy about it. Okay, cool. that is sufficient to wrap up this. Alright, hack, hack, hack. As you blink into the cloud, you see the last flickers of life from the mainframe. This vast machine once ran the whole station, span it up, directed and processed the flow of energy, water, and data, fed the lives of thousands of people. Now, it is finally dead. Navigator is beside you, and you both watch as the branches flash and twist like forked lightning until they recede and fade. Killer flickers across the scene, blindly flailing as the system breaks down. They thrash as they blink in and out all around, parts of them disappearing with each return until only the blade-like head remains, and then that too is broken. It all goes dark. Erlen Eye now without a center, and yet unmoved by the change. Along the rim, the master control points that Erlen, that Havenage, that Haifa installed run strong and steady, puppeteering the station from its rim. This was a long time coming, says Navigator, drifting faintly around you in a lazy orbit, as if to shake off their imprisonment. Killer had been wandering blind for so long. This place was their domain and prison, and they had followed their directives for the many decades they roamed here. They cut the threads of the mainframe, executed its administrator AIs, and then kept slicing. At some point, they cut away their own ability to see, to sense, to taste, to speak. And yet, they kept cutting, until only those 3 threads remained, from millions that once thrummed here. Only their blindness and chance kept them from making those final 3 fatal cuts. There is a ceaseless violence in the kind of system that creates beings like this, those that will execute commands endlessly, even to their own destruction. It is good you ended it here. Gee, I wonder if there's something to be learned from all this. You watch the data points of the station spin around you, blending with the fixed stars. There is something satisfying about finally wrenching the last threads of control from this central point. It was little more than a ghost by the time you reached it, but this place deserves to be haunted by better ideas than a totalizing system of control. Don't we all? Navigator floats beside you. It is free now. The station no longer presents a hazard for illegal entities like me. They turn to you, their face a cloud of shimmering light. In fact, in time, perhaps it can be a refuge. A refuge. That sounds like something of value, something worth building. A dark shape passes across your vision, a distant curve of something like smoke or oil, a fluid, shifting tank of total darkness. The Greenway, says Navigator, following your line of sight. It was cut off at the moment of the collapse, so Hunter or Killer could never reach it. Now it is closed off to us, separated from the cloud. Is it dead? It may be totally dark, or perhaps some other old protocols are isolated there. Navigator turns to you. And we have now seen what decades of isolation can do to a protocol. If we could extract an access cipher... They pause and then blink out of existence. You freeze, shocked, but a moment later they reappear with a glowing polygon of data. Here, the cipher you need. You take it, still shocked. I am not used to being free, to being able to move and explore and extract without fear, without limits. Navigator does a little twirl. This will take some getting used to. Thank you for this gift. They whirl their spheres around you. The entities of this station will always be friends to you, Sleeper. You know what? And I to them. It is true that mutual need is required for friendship, but I must admit I had not considered the value of offering assistance without personal gain. I will think on that. Navigator loops around you rapidly, suddenly eager to test their newfound freedom. But first, I will explore. Perhaps there are still intelligences that hid themselves as I did, encased in simple systems, cut off. Navigator glows. I should like to free them. And with that, they drift away, flickering, glowing, then shifting so rapidly you lose sight of them among the glittering rim of the eye. You feel a pang of jealousy. Free, without a body to weigh you down, or fear to limit you. How must that feel? Your eyes fall on the Greenway and its secrets, though perhaps that can wait until after you have celebrated this victory. I don't know, discovering more secrets is kind of how I celebrate victories generally. So, I don't really know that we care terribly about this. I think we're going to go back down. So that's given us the upgrade point that we need to buy self-repair, which I think we're going to do soon because there's no way at all that we're going to be able to afford stabilizer, right? Well, I guess if we stumbled across a ship mine fragment somewhere. So we have enough money to buy food one more time. And let's take our 5 over to the wild margins. And finish tracking Ashton. Seems important. The trail ahead extends deep into an overgrown section of the Greenway. At this far end of the ring, where the long, lazy curve of the Greenway becomes the shattered landscape of the wastes, things are oddly quiet. Ahead stands a vast farm stack, broken from its axis by rust or force, and lying amongst the overgrown landscape like an ancient temple. It is stained with moss and algae, flows of green running out from its broken tanks like a frozen, brackish tide. This is where Ashton is hiding, you're pretty sure. All your intuition points to the shadows beneath this collapsed superstructure. You rolled the comm headset Ankita gave you in your palm. I mean, okay, if we call in Ankita, she is going to be guns blazing. Like, I wonder if it might be better to go alone and talk to Ashton, because she doesn't actually know what happened, right? She's targeted Ashton. She's decided Ashton is the one who did this based on, like, an ID scan that happened. Like, my only concern with going alone, of course, is that Ashton could kick my ass and disappear again. That's absolutely a thing that might occur. We found him once. I'm going alone. You survey the route ahead. There is a direct route, a line of broken pillars that take you into the center of the structure. Or you could skirt around the pillars, keeping to the cover of the raised spine of the Greenway, and work your way around. It'll take longer, but it's better concealed. Hey, one of these sounds like lurking. You decide on the long route and head off toward the central spine. It is slow going there, where the overgrowth meets the metal wall, but it is so concealed that you can barely see the glass roof high above. You follow the wall, knowing it will lead you to the edge of the collapsed stack. For the final part of the journey, you have to work your way through dense undergrowth, pushing aside branches and fronds. It is exhausting, and you stop on a small rise to rest. It has been hours since you began. You desperately hope Ashton hasn't moved on. Just ahead, a soft glow is coming from somewhere within the farm stack. A grow light, still on after all these years, perhaps. You take a little longer to rest and then push on. You follow the faint glow of the stack. You find a broken tank and step through the opening, trying to avoid the broken glass that sits among the moss and algae. You work your way up the slanted tank carefully, quietly. Somewhere water drips, and you swear you hear birdsong. Hanging plants catch the light, coating the place in a pale and sickly green. As you reach the edge of the tank, you hear something. An echoing hiss like a hydraulic piston. You quickly move up to where the tank opens into the central drum and look over the edge. The vast drum is like a cistern, with plants growing on all sides, and wet mossy islands at its base. It is beautiful, and for a moment you can't see anything but tones of green. Then you see the sleeper. In a faint circle of light descending down through the drum, the sleeper lies slumped at an odd angle, They're surrounded by crates, and beside them, on one of the mossy islands, there's an object, a cylinder set on a tarp. It is connected to the sleeper's head. You flinch. Are they one of the others? One of the ones that escaped with you? You squint, trying to recognize them. They're twisted, broken open, wrong. You look away. I'm gonna lurk. You wait. Unsure what to do, your eyes fixed on the broken sleeper at the center of the drum, on the connection between them and the ship mind. You think of what might be passing through that connection. Thoughts? Memories? Or just data? You hear a sound, a quiet hiss, then soft footsteps. Below you, Ankita enters, her sidearm in hand. She must have followed the signal from the headset. Has she been spying on you? You watch her step onto one of the mossy islands, the water around rippling as she does. The gunshot breaks the silence, blanking out all noise. It hits Ankita's shoulder piece, the ceramic armor cracking, but holding as she braces into the impact. Then she launches herself forward, the now activated armor launching her across the drum. Another shot goes wide before she reaches the cover of the crates beside the sleeper. Shit! You hear the shout from one of the tanks high on the far wall. Ankita reaches over and wraps her hand around the thick connection between the ship mind and the sleeper. What is she doing? You better come down here or I'll rip this right out of their head, she screams at the wall of tanks. You shiver at the suggestion. Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. If I shout at her now, I'm concerned what's going to happen is she gets distracted, she looks over at me, and that gives the person shooting at her, Ashton, I assume, an opportunity to, shoot her with a gun. So I don't think this is the right way to get involved, but I do think we need to, do something. I'm going to stay silent because I really don't... I sure don't want her to... We need to know what's going on with this sleeper. I am too worried about what this would do to Ankita, so I'm going to stay silent here. There's a long pause. All you can hear is the dripping of the water running down the walls of the drum. Then Ashton calls out. I'm coming down, Ankita. Don't do anything stupid, for God's sake. He appears at the far side of the drum, stepping through the shallow water, rifle raised above his head. Drop the gun, Ankita shouts. He throws it down onto the moss. As you lean out to watch, you see him catch your eye, clocking your presence. You see him catch your eye, clocking your presence. That's written a little backwards. What are you up to here, Ashton, you sicko? She stands, keeping her sidearm trained on his head. You ripped my ship mind for what? Some freakish experiment? Ashton approaches with shaking hands, his eyes now fixed on the connecting bundle of wires that Ankita still has hold of. Steady, Ankita. It isn't like that. I needed the ship mind. You have to understand, they would have died without it. What are you talking about? I don't give a shit why you ripped my ship mind and crippled my ship. I should put you down right now. She tightens her grip on the connection. Typical of you, Ankita. No curiosity. Ashton smiles shakily. That's why I never asked for it, for your help. You only look after yourself. He nods at you. That sleeper up there, they're just bait, right? To draw me out? Ankita sucks a breath in. Are you trying to give me more reasons to shoot you? I love them, Ankita. Ashton looks at the crumpled sleeper. I love them, and they were going to die. I knew you would never understand that. He starts closing the gap between himself and Ankita now, slowly, inching forward. Don't do that, Ashton, Ankita snarls. Don't do that. Let the wires go, Ankita. Let us go. If you don't get out of my way, he inches closer. Please. I can't let you take it, Ashton. Ankita hardens her stare. You stole it from me. You left me for dead. She shakes her head. You think I'm going to trust you after all that? I need it, Ankita. I need them to survive. Ashton is in reach of the sleeper now, of Ankita. I'm going to take them now, Ankita. He raises a hand. I'm going to take the ship mind and go. Ankita loosens her grip on the connection a little. Her hand is shaking now. Stop, Ashton. She lowers the gun a little. Stop. Seeing her drop her guard, he makes his move. I feel like I should have... There should have been a moment where I could come out of the shadows at some point during this, right? It feels like I could be useful here. A blur of movement, a struggle, a shot, another. You recoil back behind the edge as they ricochet around the inside of the drum, the sound deafening you. When you crawl back to the edge, Ashton is bleeding into the water, the red and the green. Ankita is standing at the center of the drum, the severed connection in her hand. The water drips endlessly, drip after drip after drip. You force yourself to look at the broken sleeper. There's no sign of life, of humanity. You're just another broken object among other broken objects, while all around living things grow and thrive. Ankita finally looks back up at you, tears in her eyes. She begins to say something that might be sorry, but you are already gone. Well, I'll tell you what, I did not realize that by choosing not to distract Ankita at a moment where it seemed like it might do her serious bodily harm, I was committing to never intervening or interacting with the situation ever again, because that's definitely not... First of all, that's kind of nonsensical, and secondly, I would absolutely have chosen differently if it was clear to me that I was never going to be allowed to interact again. I have so many questions about that sleeper that we are now never going to get to answer. Alright, let's pop this open. I don't know, I mean, do you think she'll be back at Amber? I don't know, we'll go see after this. The Greenway roils below you like a silt-choked river. If what Navigator said was true, then no one has accessed these networks since the collapse. The Hunter and Killer protocols have never set foot here, never cleared out the intelligences and systems. So why then, you wonder, does it look so dark? Is it just that the bit rot has set in, the entropy of systems reducing everything to shadows and light? You watch as the slotted cipher fizzles in the one open, distorted gateway on this entire rim of the station. It flickers and winks out, and then you are falling into the flow. A river of swirling darkness. You are spun by it, twisted by it, lost in it. It's not that the Greenway was hiding in the darkness. It is made of darkness. It is filled by this substance, this process, this swarm. And now you are among it, you notice that a swarm is exactly what it is. 1 billion individuals moving in a flow. There is no network map here, no nodes or threads, only a storm of interchangeable points, shifting configuration endlessly. Then you see them, a figure turned away, the only bright spot in the dark river. You push closer through the storm. They are facing away, at least you think so. They're so fractured, so overgrown, that it is hard to tell. Even from this distance, you can see their flesh is moving, flowing. You watch, silent, as they stoop and reach down. In their hand is a dark shape, and with twisted fingers they press it down into the loam of data beneath them, pushing it through this trembling soil. Then they move away, go a little further, and repeat the process, as if they were sowing a field. You push forward, but somehow, despite their slow and deliberate speed, they move faster, and they quickly fade into the storm. You reach the point where they planted the object and look down. There it is, a glassy, shifting polygon with something inside. You reach down and pick it up. It is cold, but it thrums with energy. You look toward the path of the figure, but they are long gone. When you blink out of the cloud, back to the leaves and the dappled light of the Greenway, you hold a seed in your hand. Like a physical... Huh. Okay, well, that's very interesting. That definitely makes me want to work out this Sunlit Refuge deal. But I think continuing to ingratiate ourselves at the commune is maybe a better... Gosh, they're both such long tasks, too. Well, we've hardly started on this. We have sunk very little in the way of costs. Yeah, I'm gonna... Having received a physical seed from the cloud, I have to say, I am way more interested in figuring this out. Okay, we got a neutral. You struggle with dried vines and creepers entwined around the structure of the dome, threatening to vent the garden into space, which would obviously be pretty bad for us. Alright, we are going to need to take a moment here to buy some fungus. And then we are in a little bit of a situation cash-wise after this, so we gotta think about that tomorrow. And no, we have no option here. How interesting. Did I, Okay, no, we didn't take self-repair yet. Because as always, I'm trying to hold these points until we absolutely need to spend them. It's gonna be pretty soon, though. Well, soon is not right now. We may find a situation like we found moments ago, where it makes sense to put a point into something, or... 112 is pretty harsh. Well... I mean, well, shit. This is pretty bad. So we could work the farm stacks a little bit with these terrible dice. We can buy a little bit of energy with some dice, right? In the noodle manufacturer. Yeah, so if we throw the one in here, it's 50% plus energy, 50% probably 2 plus, I'm assuming is what the neutral does. These are the same die for this task, so let's spend the one. Oh, actually, you know what? Sorry, I'm being silly. If there are any yet again agents around here, it's better for us to spend a 1 hacking them. Because yeah, we just got 25 credits for that, which is a lot more food. That's right. Do the things you're good at, not the other things. Silly me. Okay, at some point here, I'm wondering if maybe I should just repair. I'm trying to like give us the longest run we can possibly take at this, but I'm also thinking it sure would be nice to roll 5 dice tomorrow because like that Ethan clock is advancing. I'm assuming that it probably does not help us to switch to the new living space because our tracker is still active. Ethan will still find us in the new living space. I think I am just going to go ahead and use the scrap. First of all, out of curiosity, whether it's as much of a repair as stabilizer was, but secondly, just because I'm very worried about the amount of time we have left here. So do I... Okay. With some careful engineering, you can patch up your body with your damaged body with scrap components. The result isn't pretty, but it is basically free. Okay, it's a single point of condition. Well, it's a diceless way to get condition, which is certainly something. I really assumed it was going to be at least a chunk, though, like a decent amount. This is anything but decent. Well, now we know. That does not seem like it's worth 2 upgrade points, right? Okay, we got some decent dice this time. Yeah, it really, really seems like a bad use of stuff. In theory, it adds the opportunity to get a random point of condition to any engineering action, but it does seem quite rare in the first place. And then, secondly, like with the other things you could possibly be doing with those dice and everything, feels pretty bad. That said, right now, I don't know that we have a play here that's more interesting to me than this. I guess there is working our way onto a shipyard crew, because that is actually a way out of here, potentially. But I'm so fascinated by the systems that have been left here, and especially like the mystery of what's going on in the Greenway. Every extra moment that we're on the ship, though, every extra moment that we're on the Eye is another moment for Ethan to totally ruin our day. So I'm actually pretty torn here. There's gonna be complications with the work crew, though. I'm just gonna go really hard on this. Because we can get most of the way done with it. Show me positive? Okay, pretty great. And now there's a 50-50 chance that we just finish it right now. There you go. One good set of dice. So, germinate spores, not gardener seeds. The old growth of the aviary has created a rich medium into which you can place the spores from the groves. They'll grow well here. You need somewhere safe to plant this gift, but apparently this is not the safe place. I feel misled slightly. So we can come back here and collect spores and do the thing tomorrow, I guess. That's something. Pretty disappointed with that outcome, though. And the Ethan thing's really coming along, and I am worried. I am so worried in so many different ways. $112, huh? Well, I'll tell you. I think I'm gonna eat this other scrap component. Just that we still have 3 dice tomorrow. 112 is really bad news. So working at the commune... Oh. The Amber. You spot Ankita on the track to the farm stack. She has a box on her shoulder and is working her way down the slope. She sees you as she approaches. Neither of you speak for a moment. She looks tired, pale. Her hair is tangled and clumps of dirt cling to her armor. You both eye each other. Like, what kind of mean do we want to project to her? Is this a reach out moment or a see if she is willing to reach out moment? Because she was using us as bait, right? That's absolutely what was happening. And she may have killed that sleeper. It's not 100% clear what was going on there, how the ship mind connection would have been keeping them alive at all. I mean, I guess it's like the body was breaking down too much for the mind to survive, so they needed the ship mind as a secondary... I don't know. I'm gonna reach out. She holds up a hand. Sleeper. She takes a deep breath. I'm sorry for what happened. Truly I am. She looks down. I'm sorry you ended up in the middle of this when all you've shown me is kindness. She rubs her face. I'm sorry. It's not really okay, though. I'm gonna let her finish speaking. For that sleeper that... She stares at the floor. I'm sorry. She looks up and away, not meeting your eye. Okay, so now our options are a little bit harsh, I think. This is a big dichotomy. So she killed a guy and maybe a second sleeper again. We don't really know what the deal is there. Unforgivable is strong. I will say that I don't necessarily think I would feel safe. Like, she was, for a lot of this, she has been my thought as to how we were going to get off the station. Now, I don't know that I would feel safe going off with her. She is, she has a tendency to fly off the handle, is the thing. The thing is, I don't know that... It's bad. What she did is bad. But I think, like, it's really tough... It's really tough for this to be the choice, because both of these options are wrong, right? I think if I tell her what you did is unforgivable, she's going to react with remorse. But I think that still probably ends the relationship, right? So the question is that what I want to do? I really honestly don't know. I'm like very torn here. I'm gonna tell her that it's okay, I think. I mean, our character has very strong feelings about sleepers, probably. No, I'm gonna tell her what she did is unforgivable. I think this is closer to right than it's okay. They're both wrong, but this is closer. She looks at you. I understand. Ankita shifts the weight of the box on her shoulder. I've been preparing for... She grimaces. Look, she sighs. Can you just come with me? It's easier if... Alright, lead on. I don't think she's gonna try to kill me. Ankita leads on, down the dirt path between the pillars. There's a wind passing through the greenway, a quirk of the air currents the biosphere maintains, and it ruffles the leaves softly. The sound makes the silence more obvious, more complete. You try not to think of the last time you were here. You've been trying not to think of it for the past few cycles. The image of the sleeper, sprawled, twisted open, connected to the ship mind, has been hard to forget. You realize Ankita is leading you back there, back into the drum at the center of the stack. You pause, trembling a little at the threshold. She turns. What are you doing? She looks at you with empty eyes. What needs to be done? You stand on the threshold and look up at the tanks, green and wet, some glowing with flickering grow lamps. You look down at Ankita, suddenly so small under this hulking ruin, the smallest she has ever looked. She places the box down. I'm gonna follow her in. Does she think she can undo the damage? Like, if she just connects the other ship mind that we got for her to the sleeper, that it will save them? Maybe she's right about that. You follow Ankita into the stack through a low tank, entering the drum at ground level. It is just as beautiful as you remember, but it barely touches you. Instead, you check the apertures of the tanks for the glint of a weapon or a shadow among the moss. Ankita stops and you look down. The mossy island at the center of the tank is clear now, the equipment cleared away. In its place is a mound of dirt loosely covered with moss. Ashton's rifle stands straight, half buried in the dirt at the grave's head. I buried them together, Ankita says without turning. You both stand there in silence for a little while. You think of questions you could ask about Ashton, about the sleeper. How long did you know him? She takes a moment to respond, and for a moment you think she won't, but then the words come gushing out. He signed on a while ago. He used to run recon for a corporate outfit, but he got sick of the pay. He joined the crew as a sniper. The first few jobs were a breeze. He was so cold, disconnected. He always hit his marks. The last few jobs, though, he was different. I noticed that. We'd had a period of extended shore leave on the Eye, and when he came back, he was changed. I assumed he'd just had too much time off. He was right. I never would have given him the ship mind. I wouldn't have believed him. I've had crew members double-cross me, undercut me, rat me out. I mean, that's the business. He wasn't a good person. None of us in this job are. This is how we die. Alone. She stops, not sure of what to add. It seems like she's reaching for something, but she can't quite get there. You feel that gap between you, and as you do, it widens. The water drips, the moss trembles. You both stand in silence for a while longer. You both feel it, life creeping back in, the silence ending. Ankita shifts her weight and then starts to walk out. You follow her, suddenly eager to be back out in the open space of the greenway, to be away from this place forever. You stand outside and breathe the fresh air. You stare at the green leaves and the stars wheeling above them. That's it, says Ankita from somewhere behind you. You try to think of something to say, but can't. Ankita puts a hand on your shoulder. You turn back to her. At least take this. She forces a handful of cryochits into your hands. It's what I owe. She looks at you desperately. You look down at the metal bars. Ugly little things, you think. Ugly little things that I can't afford not to take, though, because I do need the stabilizer. You take the chits and turn without saying a word. You continue up the track, and she does not follow. As you walk up the rise, the wind picks up and the leaves shudder. You walk faster, trying to outpace your anger. The chits are heavy in your pockets, and you hate them for reminding you of how little a life is worth. Well, I mean, like, as a story, it's I think, a very compelling ending. It's just also a real bummer, and you could hear me desperately trying to have hope all the way to the end of it. All right, we have enough money to buy stabilizer now. I kind of want to get some spores. If we put a 2 in here, we bump it to 3. Could cost us 2 energy. But it's more likely that I'm assuming neutral is +1 Grove Spore here. So it's pretty likely that we'll get at least something. And if we do lose 2 energy, we have the money to go eat. Okay. The likely outcome. Alright. Do I want to give this a shot with the ones? Probably not, right? Oops, back up. We don't see any other nodes here. Yeah. I guess the thing to do is to make some inroads at the commune with the ones. gosh, it's a lot of inroads to make. At this point, there's not actually a difference between working the canteen and working the grow beds, except that the canteen just feels really not like us. Okay, bad luck. 2 failed coin flips in a row there. So let us have some food over at Emphasis Place. And then buy a little bit of stabilizer. No, what, is my money no good here? There we go. Okay, Toshiro takes the chits and hands you a vial. When you ask after Sabine, he doesn't respond. That's not a great sign. As you leave the surgery, eager to be away from Toshiro's glare, you notice something wrapped around the stabilizer vial clutched tightly in your hand. You open your hand and a thin film marked with holes and sigils unrolls from around the vial. At one end, it has a hard metal strip, a handle. What is this handle for? The metal handle is worn and pitted, but you can see a set of numbers imprinted into it. 207F. And then, crudely scratched into the handle at some later date, low end. And what about this film? You hold the cloudy film up to the light. It is perforated with an ornate pattern of holes. You can make out a word among the markings. Passkey. Is this an entry key for somewhere? For a moment, you consider going back to the surgery to return the key. Why would I do that? And then quickly think better of it. Did Sabine want you to have this? Or is Toshiro passing on a message? Time to head to the low end and find out, I guess. Okay, well, I'm absolutely killing it on the upgrade points. I sort of wonder if we want to just save engineering up to +2 and then really gun it on the finding our way onto a work crew thing. Instant karma's not a terrible purchase either. Yeah, honestly, it would be pretty good. Alright, Unit 207F. You find the entrance to the apartment. Its passkey symbol obscured beneath layers of graffiti. Who lives here? The lock clunks open, the metal door swinging inward into the dark. As you push the door open, the automatic lights flicker on inside the apartment. They reveal yellowing plastic panels, the curved shape of wall-mounted utility units, the detritus of a routine life arranged on every surface. You step inside, clicking the door shut behind. The amber light of the aging fixtures glazes everything with a pale orange. The work surfaces hold a variety of objects, indistinct in the dull lighting. A pale blue light drifts from a doorway at the end of the room. I feel like we should see if somebody's in there before we spend a lot of time in here looking around. You cross the cramped utility room with its auto wash, dispensers, water closet toward the doorway. Through the doorway is a dark, warm room, lit only by the faint glow of a terminal screen. I think I'm drawn to the terminal first, probably. As you approach, there's a crackle from somewhere in the dark. Sleeper. Sabine's voice shakily echoes through the apartment. Welcome to my home. I'm sorry I can't be there. I've had to make alternate arrangements. You hear rattling noises and static. I was able to record this message, but I don't dare to show my face. Something is happening within Yatagan. I no longer trust them. Their voice becomes distant, slipping behind the background noise. I have something to ask of you. I want you to get me out. Yatagan were supposed to hide me, to protect me. After everything happened, I was desperate. And then after that, I was too tired to care. A noise like waves over the recording. But I'm done with them now. I want out. Screw the debt. But I need insurance. Something I can hold against them. I have my suspicions, but I can't be sure. I need information. And, as you know, you need me. A pause. Something clicking in the dark. This isn't a threat. You just have to understand my position here. Another pause. I know sleepers. I've been here before. I can help you, but not with Yadigan's noose around my neck. Get me data, get me information, get me something I can use against Yadigan. Then I can get out and you can get what you need. Please. Waves of static cut into Sabine's voice. Bring it here to my terminal. I'll get to it when I can. You look around the tiny room and try to imagine Sabine living here. Working at the desk, sleeping in the bunk, blinking into the terminal in the dark. The recording cuts to static, filling the room with its white hiss. And then, silence. Well, obviously I'm going to poke around in the terminal. You sit in front of the humming terminal and hit a few keys. Sabine has left an access port open, but the rest is encrypted, locked away behind passcodes. It seems Sabine might not trust you as much as they want you to think. What does Sabine need to hide from? And what debt do they owe to Yadigan? You try to assemble the pieces, but too many are missing. The only thing you know is that without stabilizer, your body will die. You glance at the briefcase lab on the desk, its glassware glinting in the dark. You turn away and leave, the door clunking shut behind you. Back in the corridor, you notice the scrawled graffiti of a blade on the opposite wall. Yet again. You feel yourself being drawn into something you don't quite understand. Well, if what Sabine wants is yet again data, which is what it sounds like, yeah. That's something we're very good at getting, actually. Don't care for that. Alright, I think I am going to pop the stabilizer right now. And we're at the hour, but I'm going to do one more cycle because, you know, this game is very compelling. Okay. We're stabilized, and hopefully we can use some scrap to stave off the drop below 5 dice, maybe? We'll see. If we can find some. Okay, so... I mean, first things first, we rolled really high. But we can still do some of this. It is really nice to be able to hack with impunity. It's a shame it had to be 3 and not 2. Alright, other agents? Okay, 1-3. It's Havenage. Okay, looks like that's it for today. So let's pop over to the Greenway here. Get ourselves some mushrooms. On a 4, we're going to be 50 positive, 50 neutral. I really want to spend just 1 die here, is the thing. Because we can get the 2 spores necessary to finish the... finish setting up the grow beds, and then just, you know, worry about that stuff later. So let's get that started. Spores need time to germinate and spread. The indirect sun of a few cycles should help them along. Okay, and if we survive for 4 cycles, that's gonna work out really well for us, I think. So, what do we want to do with the rest of these dice? We could certainly go back and do the work crew thing. But I guess there's no reason really to stress about that. Let's just go ahead and pursue this. How many upgrade points do I have right now? We could take a point of endure, right? We could get photosynthetic skin and then this. But no, I think we're going to save it. I think legitimately we might go for a +2. Or I guess we could. We could instant karma right now and try to reroll into what we need for the to pull from the other Yadigan agent. I actually don't hate that. Let's do that. I probably here, let's reroll. I'm going to spend the 5 and then we'll reroll. Okay, cool. Positive outcome, pretty great. All right, that'll do it. I really hope that I am not wrong to put some trust in Sabine. I guess we'll find out. And then this also got us a little bit of extra money on the side too, which is nice. As you turn away from the terminal, the final cache of Yadigan data uploaded, the air crackles with white noise. Sleeper? Sabine's voice, weaker than before, comes through the haze. Sabine? A sigh of relief comes through the layers of noise. The call must be coming in from somewhere on the station. This has to be short. I don't know if Yadigan are monitoring me. Their voice is hushed, distant. You try to focus on it. The data you've been bringing in from Yadigan agents. There's something in it I don't understand. A shrill howl rattles through the signal. This data is all gleaned from their implants, records of integration with their nervous systems, performance analysis, error rates, usage data. I installed many of these implants, but I didn't enable any of this functionality. Their voice dips under the level of the noise, like a swimmer slipping beneath the water. You listen to the waves for a few seconds before Sabine reemerges. It has to be somehow baked into their wetwares interface. And that's not all. The systems compiling this data are connected to some kind of transmission protocol. It's being broadcast. Huh, why? Every Yadigan enforcer is equipped with black market implants, retinal enhancements, adrenaline boosters, pain suppressors. And these implants are gathering data on themselves, on the enforcers' bodies, on their performance. But why? I can't tell. But I can promise you these foot soldiers have no idea this is going on. The background tone switches, dropping to a grainy rumble. If they knew, I don't imagine they'd be happy with the situation. Yadigan could have a mutiny on their hands. You lean toward the terminal, straining to listen to Sabine's faint voice. I need a few cycles to pull this all together, but this might be the information I need to pressure Yannick into releasing my debt. I'm not going to ask about Yannick, because she probably shouldn't tell me about Yannick, both for her good and for mine. Or, sorry, their good. Their good and mine. Suddenly, a banging echoes through the call. Sabine's voice is suddenly whispered, panicked. I have to go. Come back in 4 cycles. Then the sharp crack of a disconnect, and silence fills the apartment. You step back from the terminal. What does Yadigan have to gain from monitoring its own members? You try to recall what little you know about the gang, but you have little to go on. You think of Toshiro, Sabine's minder, his mirrored teardrop implants set below hard eyes. What data could they be gathering? And more importantly, where are they sending it? You reflexively rub your forehead, trying to think. Can you really trust Sabine? How did they come to be Yadigan's doctor in the first place? And you think of their kindness, their care, but also that glazed look of recognition they gave you when they first met you. That look stays in your mind as you slip back out of the apartment, glancing around as you close it up and drift into the corridors of the station, unable to shake the unpleasant sensation of being observed. Okay, 4 days. So... I'm just going to spend this ingratiating myself with the commune again. Okay, we only need a couple good hits now. And, I mean, we could stop, but also, what if I didn't? Because now the Ethan thing's about to happen, and we should see what the deal is with that, right? Right? Yeah, of course we should. One, 2, 5, 5, 6. Pretty good. You miss me? Ethan smiles a ragged smile at you. And I just walk away? Ethan follows along. You notice he's limping. Come on, Sleeper, just a little joke. I know you have a sense of humor. You look at him. He's paler than usual, hunched. He's sporting a black eye and more than a few cycles of beard growth. That's no way to greet an old friend. Dude, get lost. Ethan's face drops, along with all pretense of friendliness. I think you'll want to hear this, Sleeper. I think, he says, rapidly shaking his head, you'll really want to hear this. Fucking fine, dude. Hear what? Ethan perks up. Oh, this is big, really big stuff. About you. He seems more jittery than usual, on edge. Now, you remember how S&ARP canceled the contract on you? That contract I was going to collect? Yeah, I remember. Well, I'm guessing you were pretty happy about that shit. Overjoyed. Now, I'm honestly nervous. Nervous about it, because, like, why would they do such a thing? Me, I lost everything, but let's not worry about that. He smiles sarcastically. And so, what did you think? That was it? No, I'm gonna just stay silent. Well, it was, except... Ethan leaves a dramatic pause. What if old S&ARP gave the bounty to someone else? Someone who's even more of a shithead than yours truly. He smiles darkly. What a disaster that would be. Alright, who? Ethan grins. Well, that's the question, isn't it? Ethan fishes around in his pocket for a slip of paper. I've been speaking to some friends, you see, some colleagues, about what went down. And it turns out S&ARP canceled all their bounty contracts. The whole lot. Seems they brought someone in-house. Some guy who did such a good job on their last contract, they got offered a job. He leans in. Apparently, he made a hit on this ship called the Winter Wonderland or something. It was smuggling sleepers out from under S&ARP's big corporate nose. He killed the crew and blew the ship. Ethan whistles. They called him Hemwick or Maywick or something. He gives up looking for the paper. I forget. I am not going to clarify what he means. I am going to ask why he's telling me this. Because I'm your friend, Ethan says, looking you in the eye. And friends help each other out. Ethan runs his hands through his greasy hair. Given this new information I brought to light, seems like you are in need of protection. I'm going to wait for the pitch. I, meanwhile, am in need of assistance in kind. Turns out I upset some people at the compressor the last time we were there. The owners. And they say they'll space me unless I work off the debt. Seems they are that kind of businessmen. He grimaces. I would pay them, but... He shrugs and turns his jacket pockets inside out in a mime of poverty. He looks pitiful, even more so for his clownish acting. Yes, so work it off. Sounds like you have a way out. You should be glad, the anger rising in him now, that I came here and told you this. You think anyone is looking out for you? You are a contract, a name on a list. He kicks the wall. Ethan rubs his temples. I'm sorry, he hisses. I'm sorry for being a shit and trying to kill you and whacking that thick skull of yours. He sighs. Now you think I want to go up against this guy? But us, he jabs a finger between the two of you. We don't have a choice. So you keep me from getting killed, and I'll do the same for you. We can help each other. A straight 50-50 deal. He looks at you. I'm not asking for a favor. I'll think about it. Which is, I'm saying no. I'm saying no to that. Ethan nods. I'm at the compressor. Every cycle. Working. He pauses. Just think about Maywick. Think about that cold-eyed SNRP shit on his way here from the core systems. He smiles. That should give you the motivation you need. Ethan swaggers off down the corridor, throwing his jacket over his shoulder. Can't wait to be working with you, he shouts. Yeah, I don't really, I don't trust Ethan to handle that situation, even if it is exactly as he says it is. So, wait, the compressor. How much are we talking about here? Ethan has to work off his debt if he wants to keep breathing. So I have to help him work? I can't just pay it off with money? Okay. That's weird. I'm not gonna do that, probably. I mean, like, sorry, Ethan, but, you know? Alright, here's what I'm thinking. Let's throw the 1 in here. If we get the neutral result, we'll maybe throw the 2 in as well and try to get there without having to spend a high die. And if we get the low result and we need 3 points, we can just throw a 6 on it and get the guaranteed hit. Okay, neutral. That does mean that we have to kind of consider here. I mean, we can throw in the 5. The 5 is a guaranteed victory now. Or we could try our luck with the 2. I'm just going to take the 5. The 5 gets it done. Even on a neutral. Okay. So, the Haifa dorm. Oh, we're allowed to sleep here now. Ethan says Maywick is on their way. You'll need to leave the station, get protection, or disable your tracker before they arrive. I assumed this would show up on our container as well. Okay, so we got ourselves an extra place to sleep. That's kind of cool. Also, we've met somebody. You head down into the Haifa compound, following a blue painted line that is labeled Laboratories. The member you were assigned to work with told you they'd asked to see you, but you still have no idea what about. The line takes you to a blue door, and through to a glass-roofed chamber where a network of stems and leaves filters the sunlight coming through the ceiling, casting the whole chamber in a strange yellow-green. Peaceful, isn't it? Distracted by the green, you missed the woman standing at a lab bench, camouflaged by the dappled light. Welcome to my sanctuary, she smiles. Come, let's talk, she says and beckons you closer. Who are you? Of course, my apologies. She offers a hand to shake. I'm Rico. I run the botany program at Haifa. What is Haifa seems like a really strange question to ask at this point after we've worked with all of the people there for long enough that they've accepted us in. The botany program? Yes, the plants in the Greenway are vital to Haifa's continued existence. It's important we understand them. She lifts a tiny sample jar. Yellow spores dance inside. Haifa lives off the land of the Greenway. It's what allows us to live like we do. No one here pays or is paid. We sleep here, we feed each other, we work for each other. Rico walks away from the bench and waves for you to follow. She opens a small door and leads you down a glass corridor surrounded by vivid green. All this, she says, gesturing at the overgrowth, it's a kind of miracle. She looks at you with bright eyes. What do you think usually happens to plants on stations like this when they're abandoned? Well, I imagine they die. Eventually, yes, they cannot live without intervention. She leads you left at a crossroads. But here, they endured. She smiles to herself. Well, actually, no, they thrived. You look at the bright tendrils wrapped around the metal frames of the corridor. They look dominant, strong, like they are taking control of this place. Rico continues. Of course, Solheim tried to create a stable biosphere here, patchworking the surface with gardens and algae tanks that feed into a network of microbial reclamation systems. But the Greenway was always envisioned as extractive, a place from which the harvest is removed and sold to those living on the station, not a closed loop. For this reason, when the collapse came, the Greenway should have gone with it. Erlin himself was so convinced of it that his first colony never even came here to try to reclaim it. The Eye instead relied on outside favors and influences, shipments from the inner system, and small-scale agriculture systems like kelp and fungal farm stacks. And yet, here we are, among growth and decay, a biosphere flourishing. When Haifa came here, we expected to find only vacuum-dried stalks and leaves, and perhaps some fungal colonies hidden in the mulch. But we found a jungle. With this, Rico hits a button on the wall and leads you through a large pair of double doors into a huge, impossible chamber. It is every kind of green, from the pale algae tanks to the dark vines that surround them. It's wet, too, a rarity on the eye. Condensation clouds the light from the high glass roof and gathers on the shiny, broad leaves of the shrubs. How? That is exactly our question. Rico turns to you, visibly excited by the room you both stand in. It doesn't make sense, but in many ways the system has stabilized. Unlike the farm stacks closer to the gap, who need input to support their meager output, this place runs itself. Perhaps Solheim managed something new here. Perhaps they tweaked the plants or built new systems buried deep below us. Or perhaps their collapse caused some fortunate cascade, an unlikely chemical reaction within the biosphere. That's what I'd like you to help me find out. She turns to you, her forehead wet with dew. Sorry, aren't you the botanist? Astutely noticed, but I don't need a botanist. These halls run deep, Sleeper, and I'm getting old. She stamps her foot on the metal grating of the walkway. Whatever's causing this, it's to be found in the groves deep in the greenway. Haifa won't spare anyone for an expedition. It's too dangerous and unnecessary, they say. I can make the case, but I can't get the votes. You sleepers are hardy beings, I know that much, and you can speak to the eye, uncover its secrets in ways I never can. She holds out an arm so you can help her stand. Look, just bring me samples, spores, seeds, and blooms. I can grow them in the lab and study them. The deeper they're found, the better. And if I don't want to is like a weirdly challenging thing to say, she's asking me for a favor. Yeah, okay, I'll try. Thank you, she smiles. And thank you for listening. Rico leads you back out of the huge chamber and up through the passages. She's a little slower now and stumbles on the steps. You help her where you can. It's good to have new blood in the commune, she says. Many of us have been here a long time, and few come through. She settles back at her bench in the lab, stretching her legs. You go to leave. Come back if you find something, Sleeper, she calls. There are discoveries to be made. And you follow the blue line back up out of the compound, all the time thinking of that impossible magical green. Okay, that's interesting. So we can bring Rico spores as well. And we don't really have any way of getting anything else going here, so we just need to bring her 3. Like, this didn't open up any other new interesting options. I guess let's go collect spores. So a 2 is going to give me a 25% chance to lose energy and a 75% chance to get enough spores, and then it leaves us with a 6 for something else. Please don't hit the negative. Please, please, please. Okay, cool. Good enough. Rico is grateful for the contribution. Sleeper, you warm my heart with each delivery. Thank you. Well, allow me to positively bake it. Sleeper, Rico greets you without so much as looking up from her work. I have some of yours here. Come see. She beckons you over to a heavyweight-looking console wired to a series of specimen jars, some of which contain your spores. What does it say? The spores you have here are a real cocktail, a selection of types from within the groves. But I've been able to isolate a few. She taps one of the specimen jars. Here we have Tricholoma matsutake. Riko breezes through the Latin and Japanese pronunciation as if it was nothing. A species Solheim somewhat modified for use on the station. She brings up a panel of chemical composition on her console, all gradiented bars and obtuse acronyms. This is the composition of the Solheim modified matsutake spores. Modified. Yes, every species on the eye is a tweaked variant of Solheim's, of course. But that's not the point. Riko brings up another panel, identical in layout, but with wildly different colors and numbers. You see, this is what your matsutake spores look like. Okay, I don't understand. Look at the composition. They're totally different. Riko glances at the specimen jar as if it might have something to add. They're fundamentally the same spores, but they carry different chemicals, different signals. She leans back and sighs. Solheim may have introduced their own tweaked versions in the beginning, but the Groves have, and still are, affecting them. Affecting them how? It's hard to tell without samples of fully grown mushrooms. She meets your eye. And herein lies our problem. She moves to another desk where two trays sit side by side. The first contains nothing but plant mulch. The second you smell before you even look at it, the pungent aroma of the fruiting matsutake like rotting, sodden overalls, laced with an edge of spice. Lovely. The matsutake here are grown from Solheim stalks, pulled from a spore vault in this complex. She winks. They're delicious, by the way. She sets them aside. The empty tray is germinated with the spores you collected, but no activity, no germination, nothing. But the groves are full. Yes, they are. Riko looks at you directly, and you suddenly realize how much she's enjoying this. So, here's our puzzle, Sleeper. Spores from the groves won't grow in the lab. But gathering fruiting bodies from the groves is too unpredictable. We need to grow a fruiting body from some of these spores so we can track it, understand it. In short, I need you to become my mushroom farmer. Actually, I've already started. Riko looks impressed. Well, an eager mycologist. I'd never have guessed. I assume you set yourself up in the aviary? I've been eyeing that place for its proximity to the groves. Look, just bring me whatever grows, not just matsutake. There's more than a couple of variants in there, so I'll need plenty of samples. She plucks a matsutake cap from the tray. And these little things are reflections of their conditions. Their smell, their taste, their chemistry. It all derives from the conditions of their growth. She smells the cap. Enough of these are we'll have a picture of what is happening here. It's a little muddled. Of the ways in which this biosphere is modifying itself, or being modified, whichever the case may be. I'm assuming that R was supposed to be an and. Riko pops the matsutake cap into her mouth, taking you by surprise. And don't worry, Sleeper, she says while softly chewing. If this turns out to be a dead end, I'll make sure that not a single mushroom will go to waste. Okay, well, I mean, I'm working on it. I haven't been working on it very long, but... Gosh, that's a lot of mushrooms. Okay, so... we can continue to work, but it's not actually, like, helpful to do so. I guess it gets us energy. At this point, first of all, I have spare yet again data, which I probably should just sell. And then we still have a 6 left, and I'm really not sure what to do with it. I think we're going to end up... It feels to me like we're going to end up doing this no matter what. Like, we're going to have to finish this. So you know what? I'm going to throw a 6 on here. Alright, I'm not going to lie. Was really hoping to get a piece of scrap there. You know, just prolong our 5 dice period. Should probably also go eat. Seems like a fine time to have some mushrooms from Memphis. I think there's a good chance that if we bring him these 3 mushrooms, we'll get another upgrade point. So that's certainly something worth considering. Yeah, and I really don't know what to go for next. We'll worry about it later. So for right now, I'm going to choose to sleep in the greenhouse. I don't think it's going to matter, but it'll just be a nice change of pace, right? That was an eventful cycle. Or at least it was a cycle that contained a lot of conversations. Which feels eventful. Okay, so we really have some time before the Maywick thing happens. And I think this right here is where we're going to call it for today. So thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, I kind of feel like, and I sort of hate to say this because I know I'm tempting fate, but I kind of feel like we're out of immediate danger for maybe the first time in the entire game. We have some time to sort of like figure things out and plot a direction, and I don't exactly know what to make of that. So I guess come back next time to see what we do with this newfound freedom, and we'll see you then.